Welcome to Visions of Our People, where we feature brothers and sisters who have followed their vision to build businesses, institutions, or services that serve, profit, and uplift our community. Listen as we share the ideas, experiences, and skills that help to shape their unique stories of commitment, perseverance, and triumph. Be inspired and catch your vision on Visions of Our People. Now, here's our host.
Pamoja Tutashenda, brothers and sisters. Together, we will win. Visions of Our People presents Milestones in African History, where we feature stories of our people that have marked a significant change in our development over the centuries. I'm your host, Kefing Mwafrika Moore. Visions of Our People presents part 2 of an excerpt of a historic sermon by Jaramogi Abebe Agyeman, also known as Reverend Albert B. Cleage Jr., that he delivered at the historic shrine of the Black Madonna No. 1 in Detroit, Michigan, following the 1967 rebellion. In this excerpt, Jaramogi talks about how the white establishment didn't want to hear what the black community had to say about the conditions that led up to the rebellion. They only wanted to hear from people who would help them get back to business as usual.
Stay home, brother. You will not be able to plug in, turn on, and cop out. You will not be able to lose yourself on Skag and skip out for beer during commercials because the revolution will not be televised.
The memorial service scheduled for this afternoon is another, you just have to put together little things to see what the white man thinks. Because he never says out loud what he thinks. You just see it by the way he treats you in little situations. Now, we got a big memorial service. The governor and mayor have called it for this afternoon over at Friendship Baptist Church. That's Reverend Johnson's church. All the big white folks are going to be there memorializing our dead. The mayor thought it would be a good thing, and the governor thought it would be a good thing to heal the wound. Help us get back to normal. And you look at the service, you read about it in the paper. Who's speaking for black people? Jim Chambers, the Reverend Jim Chambers of IMA. Yesterday, the council called me, Council of Churches, and said, we'd like to have you participate in this service. I said, well, after all the announcements, everything going out, they'd like to have me. But I said, what you want me to do? We'd like you to kind of say a prayer. I said, who's going to speak for black people? Chambers. I said, who else? What other black man is participating in the service? Well, we have one to do a benediction, invocation or something. I said, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to participate in it. I'm not going to sit on a platform and act as though I support this kind of a thing. If Jim Chambers is speaking for the black community, I don't want to be nowhere near that building where he's speaking. I said, I could go down there and say, okay, I'll pray, and then get up and pray and really tell God all about it. But I'm not going to use a subterfuge of talking to God about something white folks did. God didn't do it. I'm not going to say, let us bow our heads in prayer. Dear God, he didn't do it. He didn't do it. So I told him I'm not going to do it. So the council said, well, we'll call Ms. Romney. She's taking care of getting the service together, and maybe she'll call you right back. Somebody else called back in a few minutes. Will you talk to Ms. Romney? I said, I'd talk to anybody. And then a few minutes later, she called. What is this, about the service? I said, the service, as it's now set up, is a fiasco. It should have been in this area where the action was going on in the first place. Not way over there where we can't even find it. It ought to have been over here. I said, now, C.O. Franklin's church, New Bethel, is just as big and bigger than Friendship Baptist, and it's right here in the middle of everything. I knew you didn't want to have it at my church, but you could have gone right up the street. She said, well, we left it all to the council of churches, and they wanted a place that had a big parking lot. I said, New Bethel is full to the ceiling every Sunday, and they park someplace. And when white folks are coming over to give us some kind of memorial service, they can park just like we do. She said, well, that's all. We can't change that. Now, anything else we can do? I said, I'm not going to participate in the service praying with Reverend Chambers speaking for black people. She said, who do you think ought to speak for black people? I said, if you can't figure it out, that's up to you. I got nothing to say. So she said, would you participate if we let you speak? I said, no strings attached. Just say whatever I want to say. She said, not too long. But then she said, you can say a whole lot in about 5 or 6 minutes. I said, everybody gonna speak 5 or 6 minutes? Yes, everybody gonna. I said, well, yeah, I'll be in it if I can speak. Because I think, from what I hear of the service, somebody ought to be there saying what black people once said. So I'm gonna be over there this afternoon, but it indicates they don't yet know, they don't yet understand. They still trying to take a little service off someplace and keep it isolated from the black people who are concerned about the problem, about the crisis. And they don't really want a voice. I don't believe when I get there, they still gonna let me speak. I asked her, are you sure that the other gentlemen on the program will speak with me? She said, oh, I'm sure they'd be happy to. But she hadn't checked with them yet. Now, when I get there this afternoon, I don't know whether they're gonna let me speak or not. But I indicate it's not a personal thing that I'm talking about. I told her there are a whole lot of black people in this town who can speak and try to articulate what the black people once said. And that's what we want. We don't want a leader telling us which way to go or what to do or acting as a sounding board for white people. We want a leader who is in essence a spokesman for us, what we want. And if he's not speaking for us, he's not our spokesman. But I'm saying they don't yet understand. Nowhere in the city do you get a sense that they understand. All week I could hear the words of our scripture lesson in my mind as I talked to these white folks. Very simple little words I took out of the scripture lesson. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he did not let the children of Israel go. Now, it's an old story, you know, and you've heard it whipped up so many times in so many different ways, in the Red Sea and everything. It almost becomes a symbol. You talk about niggas catching hell everywhere and black preachers up talking about the Red Sea. Well, I'm telling you, it's the same situation. That's why we talk about it. The Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart. Now, Egypt had caught every evil there was. You know, power. Just pushing in on Egypt. Causing them all kind of inconvenience. Costing them money. The locusts finally came and just ate up everything. Each time there was a plague, Pharaoh would say, I'm going to let these people go. I can't stand this much longer. I can't stand all this suffering and misery that's coming to us because of these Israelites. We're going to let them go. And the people would come, and they would say to Pharaoh, why don't you let these people go? We can't go on year after year like this. They're destroying us. They weren't talking about the children of Israel because they loved them. They said, we can't stand it much longer. We can't stand these plagues that are coming year after year after year. We can't stand it much longer. And each time, right in the middle of the thing, when he could look around and he could see the damage, he could talk to his treasurer and find out what it cost. Each time, he'd say, I'm going to let them go. I'm going to turn them loose. Because it costs too much to keep them in bondage. It's too expensive for me. And then after a few days, he'd sit around and he'd say, you know, I believe we can take care of them. I believe we'll just be harder on them than we were. That's what he'd say. Take away the straw. Let them make bricks without straw. That'll teach them. I'm not going to let them go. And they say, God hardened Pharaoh's heart. Let me tell you, anybody that's got power and is faced with the necessity for relinquishing that power has his heart hardened time after time after time. God doesn't have to do it. This was a Jewish historian writing about it, and he wanted it to sound a certain kind of way. He said God hardened his heart because God was going to use him. God was going to use him to show the world that you can't hold people in bondage. That's what the Jewish historian was trying to say. Oh, maybe that's true. I don't know. Maybe God is going to use these white folks to show the world that you can't keep black people in bondage. Because year after year after year, they harden their hearts. 2 years ago in Watts, they looked around and said, we can't let this happen again. Ooh, this was terrible. Black people are something we didn't even know existed like this. These people are thinking different and talking different. We've got to do something. These people are dangerous. That's what they said in Watts right after the thing. And they funneled in a little poverty money, and they took a few little black organizations and gave them a little money and this and that and other thing. And they said, I guess we've taken care of it now. And then last year it was here and there and everywhere, you know. Our riot control center broadened the operation. And they said again, this is terrible. New York, Chicago, everywhere. This is terrible. We can't have it. We're going to have to do something. We're going to have to make some new plan. And then, you know, it got fall and it cooled off. They said, I don't believe we have to do too much. A little poverty money, a few little concessions. Let's find the leaders and give them a job. Let's find out who they are. We'll give them a job. And then this summer, here it come again. Riot Control Center just says, everywhere. 100 cities break out almost simultaneously. They can't keep up with one. You know, if we'd done it all on one day, there wouldn't have been enough troops, federal or national, to take care of it. You know, that's a worrisome thing that's back in the man's mind. You know, when it come right down to force, how much force does he have? Oh, he got atom bombs, but it's hard to use them. In this kind of a situation, he got napalm, and he would sure like to use that. But how much does he have that he can use without exposing himself for the beast that he is to the whole world? How much of it can he use? And so he's back in his mind and says, suppose there is a riot center here. Suppose these niggas are organized. Suppose they do know what they're doing. Suppose next summer they pull it all at one time. Then what am I going to do?
You will not have to worry about a dove in your bedroom, the tiger in your tank, or the giant in your toilet bowl. The revolution will not go better with coke. The revolution will not fight germs that may cause bad breath. The revolution will put you in the driver's seat. The revolution will not be televised, will not be televised, will not be televised, will not be televised. The revolution will be no rerun, brothers. The revolution will be live.
Thank you for joining us for Visions of Our People. We hope that our stories of commitment, perseverance, and triumph have inspired you to follow your vision of creating businesses, institutions, and services that uplift our brothers and sisters, serve our community, and make us the great people that our Creator made us to be. We wish you peace and blessings, and we invite you to join us again for Visions of Our People.